I saved $7 today. Yeah. My name is Ethan and I'm a first year at Pomona College. I identify as ethnically Vietnamese. My parents each have Chinese ancestry, so I guess what would be more accurately said is I'm Chinese Vietnamese, I guess, Chinese Vietnamese American. Both my parents, they don't feel completely Chinese or completely Vietnamese. They speak Mandarin and Vietnamese at home, but when they're around their Vietnamese friends, like they may be like the bystanders or something, like they won't get like certain jokes or like certain references to Vietnamese popular culture. Chinese people are usually typically pretty loud. My parents aren't very loud, so they don't fit in that type of crowd. So I've just seen like their position as like outsiders within the Vietnamese and Chinese community, and that kind of makes me feel like I'm a product of outsiders in a way. When people ask me like what Asian I am, they'll ask me, oh, can you speak either of those languages? And I'll say, yes, I can speak Mandarin like pretty well, and my Vietnamese level is pretty low. And I feel like me admitting that, I feel a little shameful inside because like I'm not completely embracing both sides of my ethnic identity. I don't even feel like I'm completely embracing one side. My Mandarin proficiency level is definitely not as good as Chinese Americans, typical Chinese Americans. I wouldn't consider myself bilingual compared to them. And my Vietnamese speaking level is way below my Vietnamese American friends that consider themselves like somewhat proficient in Vietnamese. So like I feel like I haven't been able to completely master either side or like completely grasp either side of my ethnic identity. But that's just the linguistic side, but I feel like it's a big part. I've experienced this probably a little bit more recently since I've come to college, which is kind of surprising because we're in California, of all places, Southern California of all places. I'll be like conversing with some random stranger in public. I'll see them like speaking to me like very slowly as if like they think I may not understand English or that it's like my second language. Like, do you really think that I can't speak English or my English level isn't proficient enough that you have to speak every word slowly for me to like understand? It's just like an unjustified assumption that they're making when they speak to me that it angers me a little bit. Around middle school, around primary school, like I already knew that like disparities between like different races were already like existed. The typical experiences like Asian Americans in my generation had, which were like going to Chinese school, regular American school during the weekdays, realizing like your classmates were definitely different, didn't relate on the same level. Expectations were different from like teachers and such, you know? Like I definitely felt like I was supposed to excel in my classes a lot more than my peers who maybe weren't Asian. I don't know if that was an expectation that I felt from my teachers or parents, but it was just a general pressure I felt. I've honestly never felt a physical toll due to stress. The most pain I've ever had would be like, like pain due to lactose ingestion or something. I'll always think to myself like, oh, it's not too bad. Like just this one glass of milk or / bubble tea or like this one cone of ice cream, I can deal with it. Currently, how I take care of my body would be understanding that midnight is a healthy cutoff for me right now as to when to go to sleep. Making time for chill time. Now just the culmination of everything else that's just coming together, like your social life, let's see, like ambitions, keeping in touch with friends back home. Like I could often go 2, 3 to like even 4 weeks without even remembering to contact or even wanting to contact a friend because I would just be like, oh, I have to do this assignment, I have to do this project. I can't lose a single minute of time. The people in my class, in my ASAM 86 class, make me smile a lot. I've never felt more comfortable in a classroom setting. I honestly feed off of other people's energy. Like, I have this one really, really good friend that I have all my classes with together, and she's always talkative, and she's always telling me about her life. Honestly, it's what gets me awake in the morning. I couldn't do without it, basically. It's my caffeine. My high school friends, they would say I'm a musician. I was involved in like pit orchestra for musicals, ballets, like the PMB. I was in like youth symphony, audition ensemble, solo work. I played multiple instruments. In college, I feel like my identity isn't as skewed, really. I feel like I'm really just another weird student at Pomona College. Everyone is really smart, really gifted.